Hey, I'm Liz from No Trace. In this video, I'm going to show you how to repair a hole in a towel, like this little kitchen towel that I have from our kitchen. And in order to fix it, all you need is a needle and embroidery floss. So let's go. Okay, so here's the hole that we are going to be fixing today. And we're going to be using an embroidery needle. It has a larger head, so there's more room to get the floss in there. And then I'm also going to be using some embroidery floss. So I was thinking about using one of these multicolored flosses for this project, but obviously you could just get one color of floss. You could get floss that really matches your towel, or you could get floss that's going to stand out on your towel. So I'm going to go ahead and go with this yellow color. I'm starting with just a few feet of the embroidery floss or thread, and I'm going to go ahead and thread it into my needle. And I am not going to do a knot on the end of this. And now I just want to check out the area that I'm going to be repairing. And if there are any loose threads, so just frayed ends, those can be trimmed away to make this a little bit easier to do. But if you have any threads that are still intact, like these that run all the way across, you can leave those if you want. You don't have to, but I'm just going to leave those, and I'm only going to trim away the threads that are sort of frayed and hanging off. Okay, now that the area is sort of tidied up, I'm going to go ahead and start stitching. And I want to start just beyond where the hole begins. So I am going to come from the back of the towel to the front, and I'm going to come out in a spot that is beyond the size of the hole. So this should be a good spot here. I'm going to pull my thread through, but I am going to hold on to a little end of it on the back, probably about 3 inches or so of tail. And then I am going to sew all the way across to the other side of the hole. And again, I am not on top of the hole yet. I am next to the hole because I want the repair job to go a little bit beyond the hole. Okay, so now that I have my first stitch, I'm going to come back up right next to that, about 1/8 of an inch away. And again, I'm going to pull the thread through, and I'm going to go all the way back down next to where I started. So now I have 2 really long stitches on top of the towel. If you have an embroidery hoop, you could absolutely use that for this, but you don't need an embroidery hoop. You can just do this with your hand and your towel and your thread. Okay, so now that I'm back down here, again, I'm going to move my needle over about 1/8 of an inch or so. And again, I'm going to make a long stitch that goes all the way across. And I'm not pulling my stitches really hard. I want them to be tight, but not so tight that my towel won't lay flat. So my towel should still be able to lay flat underneath the stitches. You don't want any bunching. I'm going to keep making these long stitches, and then I will show you what to do next. Okay, I finished all of the first set of stitches going up and down across the hole, and that's how it looks on the back. So in the next step, I'm going to push my needle back to the front again, and I am going to actually start sewing stitches going the other direction. So I'm going to actually weave my needle over and then under, and then over and then under. Let me zoom in so you can see a little better. Okay, so I've gone over and under the first ones, and so I'm going to do the same thing, over, under, all the way across that first row of stitches, and then pull the needle and the thread through. And again, I don't want to pull so tight that I bunch things up. So let's get that tail tightened a little bit. I want it still to lay pretty flat. And then once it's across those stitches, I am going to grab a little pinch of the towel, about 1/8 of an inch. And then I'm going to come back around, and this time I'm going to go the opposite. So wherever I went under, I'm going to actually go over this time, and wherever I went over, I'm going to go under. So I'm just doing the opposite stitch that I did the first time around. So I'm going to go under, over, under, over, until I get to the other side. Okay, so I made it under that last stitch, and I just pull the thread all the way through, and you can also kind of tuck it down so that it's right on top of your first row, and you can use your finger or the needle, and this just keeps moving because of this little tail. Okay, and now I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to need to get a second thread, and I'm going to just keep weaving opposite of the last row. So I'll be back. All right, I finished the weave all the way up to this side, and just as a reminder, I did grab a little pinch of towel every time I reached the end and before I started the next stitch. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to grab a little pinch of towel here where I ended my last stitch. And then the next thing to do is to just weave a few inches of tail back into the repair to kind of hide it, and then we can trim it and there won't be any knots. So you can really just do this however you want. I'm just going to kind of follow some of the previous weavings that I did until I have this thread tucked back into my repair area. Okay, I finished weaving in the tails that were on the front side of the towel, and then I trimmed them, and now I'm just going to flip it over. I'm going to bring these tails that are on the back to the front, and I'm going to weave them into here as well. So I'll be right back. Ta-da! It's finished. It's ready for use back in my kitchen, and I think it'll be kind of fun to look at my little repair job every day. And if you are looking for more tutorials on how to fix things around your house or some of your clothes, I am linking to a playlist underneath this video.